Okay, so let's recall that with x-intercepts, the y value is 0. And with y-intercepts, the x value is 0. So we're going to look at finding x and y-intercepts of quadratic functions where the function itself does not factor. So you can't just set it equal to 0 and solve it by factoring because it won't factor. So let's take this first example. F of x equals x squared minus 5x plus 3. Okay, so to find let's start with the y-intercepts. And there's always going to be one y-intercept. You set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So I'll remind you that f of x is y. So you end up with y equals 0 squared minus 5 times 0 plus 3. So y equals 3. So the y-intercept is the ordered pair. X is 0, y is 3. X-intercepts, a little more interesting. For x-intercepts, y is 0. Okay? So you end up with 0 equals x squared minus 5x plus 3. And so now you have to solve this equation, which in the past we've solved by factoring. This one won't factor. So you can choose to use completing the square or the quadratic formula. I will use the quadratic formula. So in this case, you already have 0 on one side. Your a is 1, your b is negative 5, and your c is 3. So you get x equals negative b, which is positive 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 25, minus 4, times a, which is 1, times c, which is 3. All of this is over 2 times a, which is 1, and 2 times 1 is 2. Now we just simplify. We end up with 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 12. That's 13, all over 2. So these are the two x values that give us x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts in this case are x could be 5 plus the square root of 13, all over 2. And in x-intercepts, the y is always 0. And there's another x-intercept as well, 5 minus the square root of 13 over 2, comma, a y value of 0. Okay, so in this case, your x-intercepts were given using the quadratic formula. They're irrational because they have square roots. And you had 2 of them because of the plus or minus in the quadratic formula. Okay, here we go. We've got to find the x and y-intercepts. We'll start with the y-intercepts again. For the y-intercepts, x is 0, f of x is y. So y equals 0 squared plus 3, so y equals 3. The y-intercept is the ordered pair 0, 3. X-intercepts, you set y equal to 0. So you get 0 equals x squared plus 3. There's no need to use the quadratic formula here. You can simply subtract the 3 and take the square root of both sides, which gives you plus or minus the square root of negative 3 equals x. And the negative in the square root comes out of the square root and becomes an I. So you have x equals plus or minus I times the square root of 3. Now if you think about the plane, the coordinate plane where this is the x and y axis, these are the x and y axes, how in the world could you plot I times the square root of 3? You can't. There's no way to plot I in the xy plane. So there are no real x-intercepts because they have I in them. So this graph is never going to touch the x-axis. And in fact, what it looks like is this sort of thing. And you can see that it never touches the x-axis, so it has no x-intercepts.